China's manufacturing industry has rapidly expanded, cementing its position as the world's largest producer of goods. Innovations in technology, infrastructure, and supply chain efficiency have fueled this growth, allowing China to meet rising global demand. As a result, its export market has flourished, supplying everything from consumer electronics like your favorite robot vacuum to industrial machinery worldwide. In 2023, China exported approximately $3.4 trillion worth of goods, and I bet you know where a large portion of this ends up. As of 2023, the United States had a trade deficit of about $773 billion. It has been increasing since 2009. Sounds like a disaster, right? But is it really? Is the US trade deficit sinking the economy? Guys, hit a thumbs up and subscribe, and we will dive into the facts behind the numbers and explore if the US trade deficit is really something to worry about. When we hear about the US trade deficit, it's easy to think it's all bad news, but the truth is a bit more complicated. One major reason for the trade deficit is an imbalance between how much the country saves and how much it invests. Simply put, Americans aren't saving enough money, so they rely on borrowings to finance their spending. To make up for this shortfall, the US borrows money from foreign lenders or encourages foreign investments. In fact, foreign investors are often willing to put their money into the US because they see it as a stable and promising economy. This can actually be a sign of confidence in the US financial system. For example, in 2023, the US net international investment position was minus $20 trillion, assets totaled $34 trillion, and liabilities over $54 trillion, highlighting how the world views the US as a safe bet. Looking back, there are examples of how borrowing can lead to positive outcomes. In the early 19th century, the US borrowed extensively to build railroads and infrastructure. This investment helped fuel economic growth, creating jobs and even connecting the country like never before. It was a period of rapid development, and borrowing played a key role in that transformation. However, not all borrowing is good. For smaller countries, relying too heavily on foreign capital can be risky. Take the 1997 Asian financial crisis as an example. Countries like Thailand and Indonesia saw massive amounts of foreign investment flowing in, which initially seemed great. But when economic trouble hit, foreign investors quickly pulled out, leaving those economies in turmoil. It was a harsh reminder of how quickly things can change when a country depends too much on foreign money. So, while the US trade deficit might raise eyebrows, it's important to remember that borrowing can sometimes help stimulate growth. The key is to use it, borrow money wisely. It's not just about numbers, it's more about how they reflect the economy's strengths and vulnerabilities. Guys, share your opinion in the comments. Do you believe that the rapid growth of foreign investments in the US is good for the economy? When we think about trade, it's tempting to believe that having a trade surplus where a country exports more than it imports automatically means strong economic growth. But that's not always the case. For instance, Japan and Germany have enjoyed trade surpluses for decades, yet their economic growth has been pretty sluggish. Japan's economy has struggled with low growth rates for years, even with a strong export market. Now let's look at the United States. There have been times when the US experienced significant economic growth while the trade deficit was actually increasing. For example, during the 1990s tech boom, the trade deficit grew as Americans spent more on imported goods. But this spending helped drive the economy, leading to job creation in technology and service sector. In fact, the US economy grew at an average rate of around 4% annually during this period. It's important to consider the job impact as well. Many critics point out that trade with China has cost the US millions of manufacturing jobs. Research from the Economic Policy Institute shows that between 2001 and 2018, the rise of Chinese imports resulted in the loss of approximately 3.7 million American jobs, mostly in manufacturing. But here is the catch. While some jobs disappeared in manufacturing, many argue that new jobs were created in other sectors like technology and services. The shift may not have been easy for those affected, but it highlights that trade can lead to a relocation of jobs rather than an outright loss. So while trade deficits can raise concern about the job loss and economic stability, they don't always correlate directly with economic growth. The real picture is more complex, showing how trade can play a role in creating opportunities in different areas of the economy. While trade deficits can have some upsides, there are genuine concerns that we need to address. One major issue is a low saving rate in the United States. With Americans saving less, the country relies heavily on borrowing from abroad to support its spending. In fact, The US savings rate has hovered around just 5% in the recent years, significantly lower than in many other countries. These low savings means Americans are increasingly dependent on foreign capital to keep the economy moving. Policymakers like former trade advisor Peter Navarro have raised alarms about this foreign dependency, suggesting it poses a risk to national security. When a country owes significant amount of money to foreign lenders, it can create vulnerabilities. For example, if geopolitical tensions rise, those foreign investors might pull their money out quickly, leading to economic instability. Another concern is the influx of foreign capital. While it can stimulate growth, too much foreign investment can lead to economic bubbles. A prime example is the 2008 financial crisis, which was partly fueled by risky lending and borrowing practices. When foreign investors flooded into US real estate markets, it created a bubble that eventually burst, leading to widespread economic turmoil. In summary, while trade deficits are not inherently bad, they do reflect underlying issues like low savings and dependency on foreign capital. These factors can pose risks that we can't ignore, making it essential to find a balance between leveraging foreign investment and ensuring the stability of the US economy. As we dive deeper into the debate, many economists argue that US trade deficit isn't the major problem it's often made out to be. In fact, it can even have some benefits. The United States plays a crucial role as a global financial hub, providing liquidity to the world economy. This is partially due to its trade deficit, which allowed the US to borrow at lower costs. Because the US dollar serves as a global reserve currency, countries around the world hold significant amount of dollars. This creates massive demand for US financial assets, allowing the United States to finance its high consumption without high interest rates. In 2022, nearly 60% of all foreign exchange reserves were held in US dollars, underscoring its importance in global finance. Moreover, focusing solely on the goods deficit can be misleading. While the US may import more physical goods than it exports, it maintains a significant surplus in services, an area where the US excels. The finance, technology, and even entertainment sector generate substantial income from international clients. For instance, in 2023, the US services surplus reached over $300 billion, highlighting that not all aspects of trade are negative. So, rather than seeing the trade deficit as a scapegoat for economic woes, it's essential to recognize the broader context in which it operates. The US economy benefits from both its trade deficits and its strong position in global services, suggesting that the real story is more nuanced than it appears. The US trade deficit is a complex issue that can be easily categorized as purely good or bad. It involves trade-offs that impact various sectors of the economy in different ways. While there are legitimate concerns about low savings and dependency on foreign capital, the trade deficit also reflects the US's unique role in the global economy and its strengths in services. So, is the trade deficit a serious problem? It depends on how we handle the broader economic policies surrounding it. By focusing on smart investments, encouraging savings and leveraging our strengths, the US can navigate the challenges while maximizing the benefits that come from its position in the global market. Guys, hit the like button and subscribe so you won't miss our next videos. What are your thoughts on the US trade deficit? Do you think it's a serious problem, or is it just a misunderstood aspect of US economy? Share your opinions in the comments below. See you very soon.